It's very possible. All right. 30 seconds.
Oh boy. Don't shout, I can hear you. We're on Facebook, we're on YouTube, we're on Twitter.
Oh, nice.
I think on Twitter. We're on
So famous.
15.
the Speedway cable channel puts us on there too, not live. We get a lot of hits.
Nice.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You're on.
Welcome to the Autosportradio.com 2017 show. It is our last program in 2017. We will return on January the 9th. That's also a Tuesday. We will be back then. We have some interesting guests lined up starting the new year. And want to remind you, mark your calendar, January 13th will be the Chili Bowl. It will be had here. They're going to have a chili party and a Chili Bowl party. So you want to mark your calendar. You want to come on here. I'm going to take time at the beginning of this quickly. I got to hurry because somebody has to leave and pick up a kid somewhere. But I want to thank all the sponsors, McGilvery's Pub and Eatery here in Speedway. Especially want to thank them. The Honda and Honda HPD, VP Insurance, Sam Pierce Chevrolet, the SVRA, Dr. Jack Miller and the Indy Dental Group, Computer Overdrive, and of course my friend Brett from the Speedway Cable channel, and of course my IT guy behind me who makes all this happen, Ted Howlett. I want to thank everybody for supporting us, and of course for the people showing up every week. We appreciate it very much. In case you hadn't heard, the 10-time World Pro Stock Champion 85 event winner Bob Glidden passed away Sunday or Monday, I can't remember which. He was one of the very, very best ever in the world. And he was from Whiteland, just outside of Whiteland where a shop was. Used to see his trucks out there all the time. And also want to mention that a former driver, a member of your staff, team actually, Sebastian Saavedra, was just announced as a co-driver with Gustavo Yakiman, the AFS-sponsored, pro in the WeatherTech sports car series. So unfortunately he's not coming back, but he got his training in open wheel cars with you. I want to mention also that if you have a time over the holidays, the new exhibit at the Speedway Museum is on. The 50 years of seeing the pace cars for the Camaros will be there, and also the incredible engines of the Indy 500. You need to get out and see it. It's really quite a display. You'll enjoy it. And if you are dreadful of, as most people are, of a dental visit, I got a suggestion. Call the Indy Dental Group. They are phenomenal. Dr. Jack Miller and his wife, Dr. Liz Lewis, have got a phenomenal practice. They're really, really good. You want to get an appointment, give them a call at 317-846-6125. And don't forget that the daily specials are back on. It's on your table, and if you need a copy to take home with you, ask your waitress, she'll get you one. My first guest is a gentleman that I have been chasing for about a year, and I got tired. And so did he, of saying, I'm busy. So he's here. He has got a story that is absolutely unreal. I can't say how impressive what he's done and what he's doing is. He's won driver championships, he's won team championships, and he's now moving up to the IndyCar series with his Indy Lights champion of last year is in the car for, I believe, 6 events, I think. The way the team has performed is just outstanding, and I'm very thrilled to have him. Please welcome Mr. Ricardo Juncos.
Thank you.
Did you ever, when you left Argentina because things were tough, you couldn't get racing things going and so forth, so you came to America, did you anticipate, gee, maybe one day I'll be at Indianapolis?
No, absolutely not. It's hard to believe in today, what we accomplished. On 15 years it's been passed, and it's just, I came here for 2 weeks, as I said all the time, and here we are. It's just amazing.
the way you've gone about it, I look back and talk to people, believe it or not, that I found that were with you and worked with you, and you did work for them in the karting business down in Miami, and they said the man knew what he was doing. You had engineering experience, you had mechanical, you understood the cars, which is, to me, the most important thing. You got to understand the car. When you have a driver, the drivers normally, when they pull in and they can tell you, well, the car's doing this, that, and the other thing, and of course you have computers and you can measure the tires. I used to work for a guy, so all you need is a tire. Tire temperature tell you everything. Do your drivers are able to tell you what the car's doing and they're right?
Sometimes and sometimes not. We worked before with go-kart drivers, little kids, and you can imagine all the way through IndyCar now, right? Like you mentioned, Sebastian Saavedra or Spencer Pigot, like this year, obviously they have more experience, but sometimes they're right, sometimes they're not. And it's difficult.
Go ahead.
But it's also part of our job, to identify those and help them through the way.
How have you been able to pick up such successful drivers? I mean, you came here from Argentina, and you told me the last time you were here, you had your phone sitting on the table. I said, why do you have that? He said, because I do most of my deals on the phone. Where do you find these guys?
To be honest, I never called the driver, so they know, obviously now, after so many years being here, they know the team, so they contact us, and that's pretty much. I'm too busy always working so much to call them, to be honest. Obviously, this year going to the 500 we was one of the options, and that's why they call me or we get this deal together. But normally I just focus on the business and my mechanics and the team itself.
I've been told by your crew, if you need it, get it. Because they go through you a lot or whatever, or you authorize whoever, but it's always the teams that I've worked with and been around, it doesn't do any good to say, well, let's try using this, it's left over from somewhere else. If you need it, get it. That's how you go fast.
Yes, that's only on the car side, right?
Yes.
The business thing is what is been the challenge for me, because I don't know how to run a business, or I didn't, and I try to learn every day, and that's another part of things that is not that easy. Actually, the race car itself is, I feel, the easy part.
Well, I hate to say this and contradict you, but you seem to be doing a pretty good job in the business world too, because you've brought guys in that have won championships, and you've got the crews that can give them the car to win, and the drivers with the capability to do it, to win the races. You've signed 2 new ones for the Pro Mazda this year.
Three new ones.
3 new ones.
Yes, we announced the last one last week, I guess.
Who are they?
I don't even know what day is today. So but first driver to sign was Rinus VK. And we
that's
signed Rob McGuinness and Carlos Cunha from Brazil. So 3 drivers for next year in Pro Mazda.
And Victor's moving up to Indy Lights?
Yes, Victor, we took the prize money because we won the Mazda Championship, so him and Nico D'Apero will be in Indy Lights. And as you said, Kyle Kaiser will be with us for 4 races in IndyCar.
Is there any chance you're going to have, you've got a car laying around with a light sticker on it, any chance you'll run 3 cars?
Yes. We actually have 3 cars. We built the 3rd car.
I know, that's what I said.
We are looking for the 3rd driver, but we don't know yet if actually that will happen. Like, we was trying for this 17 and didn't happen, so we'll see.
I'm not available.
No, you don't.
And I wouldn't fit.
Sorry,
there'd be a weight disadvantage. To get the car to the right rate, you'd have to take the wheels off it.
Yeah, I can find something for you to do for sure.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
I got enough trouble getting you here. How big is your team now?
Full time today, probably 25 guys. And for the 500, we were 48.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Are you putting on a new crew for the 500, or have you got the guys capable of running the car currently?
From the experience that we have this year, we took 3 or 4 guys that we continue with us, and then we hired, actually today, I have a new team manager in place, so we're still hiring people, but I think pretty much the whole team will be like last year.
I toured your building when it opened, and I said, you've been here, I think at that time, 13 or 14 years. I said, it's embarrassing. And you said, why? I said, I've been here 78 years, and I couldn't afford that damn door. or the guy to wash it, for that matter. For somebody to have come here in the circumstances you did with very little money and to be where you are today is astounding. And as I said, the guys that I talked to that had worked with you when you first came into karting said, you pretty well knew what you were doing to getting the vehicles fast, because that's obviously the first thing is you got to be fast. And then, of course, you want to get drivers that your crews will want to put the car together because they know they can win. So now it's up to them to give them the car, and the driver can win with it. And you've been very successful.
I think that was exactly the truth, and I think on the early years when we won 19 championships in go-karts in the first 5 years, but we was lucky because I had good drivers. Spencer Pig was one of those, and we was competing against fathers with little kids, and was an advantage for me for all my experience from Argentina. So actually that allowed us to be a name, be someone there that the people wants to race for. And then as long as we continue growing, I was learning myself on the business side and how we can succeed as a company, which is not easy as well. So I have the chance to learn every day during the 15 years I'm here on the business side as well. It's not like I just open a racing team, right away. So actually that was an advantage. And I think the big advantage was all my experience from Argentina. When I came when I was 26 years old, I was young enough to still have the energy to start over here, but also get the chance to experience a lot in Argentina as well. I think that was perfect timing as well.
Is Argentina got a lot? Is it a racing country? I mean, do people really love racing? Is there a lot of racers that have come from there?
It is. It's crazy. It's
really
all about racing and soccer. And you walk on any street and you see race cars everywhere. Yeah.
Do you go home frequently?
Once a year.
Once a year. Do you get contacted from Argentinian sports people to keep up with what you're doing? Do they follow what you're doing here?
Oh yeah. They following, and there never been a situation like this happened with us in the history. So we are kind of big there, and they following us, and the situation there is really bad. But so it's hard to get drivers or sponsors from Argentina, but the people for sure follow it.
Do any of the media people come here for any of the races to watch you? Like when you're in Miami, what's a little bit closer?
Yeah, we do. Actually, this year on the 500, we have a lot of people. They just came just to this particular race, and a lot of media to cover the event. And obviously that was huge, the first time in Argentina history. So that was big for us.
So this year it's, he's there again. Big deal.
The thing is, they know me as well when I started in Argentina. So when I started with 17 years old there, alone in Buenos Aires, and then I made my way through Formula Renault and everything. So there's a lot of people. They know me from those years, and they know when I came here. So for them, it's just, this year was huge to be part of that race, right, with them.
Have you gotten a lot of up-and-coming drivers that have contacted you from Argentina that want to come here?
Yeah, they are, a lot. The problem is just, like I said, the money situation is not good at all. And for them, 18 pesos, $1, so it's even 18 times more expensive to get here. So it's no way, it's very difficult.
Well, after you win the 500, you'll be able to afford to bring a couple over.
Maybe, yeah, you never know.
You've won everything else, and have done it with style, with class, I think. I have never talked to anybody that's on any of your crews that said, boy, I can't wait to get the hell out of here. I mean, they like working with you and for you, which is, I think, half the battle. You've got to get the guys wanting to do it and enjoying it and willing to come in and put the time in the mechanics have to put in. So that speaks highly right there, I think.
Yeah, but this is exactly, a team effort, and I have great people. So going to this year, I was thinking when all the IndyCar situation and the KV racing team option to buy it and start happening, I start realizing, okay, this is actually going to happen. Because it was hard to me to say, so at that point I was sure that I was losing my mind. And then I have a team meeting with my people, and I explained to them everything that was going on, and they give me the final touch to say, I'm ready and we're going to do this, and that's it, because of them,
What is it about racing? Now, if I remember right, the bio says that your father was in racing. What did he do?
He drove a Fiat 1500. That was 1971 to 1974.
And did you get hooked watching him, going to the races with him? Is that what got you?
No, actually, I was born after he quit. Crazy, but
I know.
I grew and I saw his trophies and the pictures, and that what motivated me a lot. And my grandmother telling me all these stories, and that's how everything started.
When you said you wanted to get in and drive karts, what did your mom or dad say? Sure, go ahead.
No, they didn't support me at all. My dad stopped racing because his best friend get killed in a race car. So they start together, and that's the reason why my dad stopped racing, because they have this promise, they start together and they finish together. So this driver was very good and get killed 24 years old. My dad stopped racing right away, and he was afraid that I was in a race car. So that's the reason why he stopped, and then it was a big problem because I fought a lot with him because he never helped me at all to start.
Why is it so difficult in Argentina? Is it the economy is so bad that if you need a sponsor to run cars, it's difficult to raise the money?
Actually, the motor racing in Argentina is good. So all the money is there, and it stays in Argentina. So it's hard for the companies to have extra money to send drivers outside. It's kind of the opposite what happened with Brazil. Brazil doesn't have enough motor racing inside. That's why they always send drivers to the world. And Argentina is the opposite. The motor racing is huge, and the level is so high, so they spend all the money in Argentina, and that's the reason.
You've been here in America for 15 years. It sounds like a silly question. You like it here?
I love here, and I love the people here, and that's why I'm staying here. And I can never have find enough word to thank this country and the people, because it's amazing for me at least. And I always say I'm so lucky, because when I don't know what to do or how to do it, it's always someone that appears to my life and help me. So, okay, here we are. So.
Well, I think you probably were saying, well, I got to wait for my son to get done. What can I do? Well, I can go talk on a microphone that echoes. So I'm helping out. You wanted to do it? We got it.
Yeah.
Do you plan at any time to go, say, run 2 or 3 cars in IndyCar and abandon the Mazda Road to Indy program?
I mean, for right now, we want to focus on this only car, and we may have other drivers to share the car that we're going to use with Kyle Kaiser. That's the plan, and we're working so hard with the sponsors, and which we don't have nothing yet, but a lot going on. And somehow we got to make it happen and be a full-time IndyCar first, and then we'll see.
Well, but would the thought cross your mind to abandon the Mazda Road to Indy program, or do you like being able to groom drivers that can then move up?
Yeah, that's the idea. That's why we have the new Pro Mazda car, and I want to continue with Pro Mazda Indy Lights and IndyCar. And also, we're using the Pro Mazda team to develop our own people, our own engineers, mechanics, and future team managers or crew chief. So we have these classes that we're going to implement this year for them. So we're going to start teaching them as well. And as soon as I find what they like to the right guys, and I put them on the Pro Mazda, so we have a lot of younger people. We always try, at the end of the season, young people.
Have any other teams suggested maybe you go stock car racing?
No.
Oh, they don't want to get you out of the paddock of the Mazda Road to Indy program.
No, it's not like I don't want to. I mean, I follow NASCAR even when I was a kid, for example, and I remember all the names, Richard Petty and obviously everybody, but we just can do so much, and I'm only myself, my wife, and my group of guys, so at the moment it's just focus on this only. And
good. I mean, I hope you don't leave. I was only being facetious. They chase you out of the paddock area, you go right something else, because you're beating them.
We was actually trying to do some sport cars this year as well, and I can see it's just we are not ready. I mean, it's just too much going on, and yeah.
Gee, really? You think running 5 or 6 cars in Mazda and then IndyCar, that'll keep your guys busy?
No, I think we're gonna always keep it 3 or 4 Pro Mazda, 2 or 3 Indy Lights, and then only 2 Indy cars. I will never go with more than 2. I don't think that's.
Gee, really?
That's my opinion, but.
I think that would keep your shop busy. You might have to put an expansion on it.
Yeah, I think the IndyCar is just the best, right? So the business model is for me the road to Indy, and the IndyCar is just to win. And the best way to do it with two cars, top drivers, and kind of that's why Formula One is that way as well. So I don't think if you do more than two, I think you focus on business only, and I don't like that. So I just want to build a racing team for the love of the sport itself.
Most of the successful teams have at least two drivers, but the thing that kind of it gets to me is you can set up two cars identical. You put two drivers in, one says, wow, this is great, the other one says, this is junk. So it's always amazed me that, two guys will go out and I'll try something and say, this really works, so they put it on another one's car, but they're not, their styles aren't the same. You find very few drivers that have the same style. So I always like to listen to our engineers when I work for the race teams of how you solve that problem, because one guy says it's great and you put it on his, whoa, what happened? They go backwards.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, obviously, you need to understand that difference. Where is the difference and why? And you need to leave it that way. You never change the driver style because that's no good. So you gotta actually make it better. It's gonna be different. So you need to understand where is the difference, and just a minor difference. Even the driver itself, for example, driving that car, and you need to gain half second, for example, the driver need to put just a tiny extra effort. And doesn't look like it's going to be half second on the end of the day, and it is. So the difference with these big cars is so small. So the difference on style can be a catastrophic situation if you just don't understand that. And you need to please that driver and understand. That's why it's so important for the driver to understand the technical side of the car, which is what we do as well. We teach these drivers on the technical aspect. And Kyle Kaiser has been with us for 4 years, and he's learning every year more and more. So that way, when we talk with engineers, the driver understands more on the technical, even today, even more than ever, right, with the technology, then you can go really high. But if the driver doesn't know nothing or less, then the language, the communication level has to go lower, and then you are in big trouble. So we focus also on that as well to fine-tune that difference on style. So
it's always seemed to me that they have to understand what it takes to accomplish what they want. They come in with a problem. They have to me, it should understand what is the crew going to do to fix my problem. They need to understand what they've done to make it happen.
Today is not just the talent only. I think talent is a small portion today. 40, 50 years ago was different. You had the talent and that's it. Today you need everything else. Actually behind the car, how you're going to speak, how you're going to act because you actually represent a sponsor, so became all these marketing things on top of the sport itself. So you have to focus on everything. But still, obviously, the talent is going to make a difference. But only talent is not. So you have to be able to learn as a driver the technology and how you're going to communicate that with the engineers and how the race car work and why to get what you want.
Yeah, well, obviously, he's got to be able to tell the engineer what the problem is. It makes it more difficult to fix.
Exactly. There is some driver, for example, they have a great feedback. They understand what's happening, but the way they communicate is actually not that right. And that's a problem as well. So we as a team, we need to identify those issues and find the ways to teach that driver a better way to communicate.
Have you tested the new aero package that's on the cars this year yet? You haven't tested it. When do you start that?
No, we don't know yet.
Really?
Yeah. It's been very difficult, to be honest. We just get actually yesterday and today maybe 70% of one aero kit, and looks like it's not going to be enough time for us to get the electronics. So in order for us to make the first open test, we have to modify the old electronics, and we got to go with the 2017 electronics. Otherwise, we will miss the test. It's obviously bad for us, but it's what it is, and obviously there is team full times, and I understand, so it's what we need to face. So,
well, I'm sure that you're not the only team that's going to be missing.
I don't know. Probably not, yeah. So we're going to actually, I think the first week of January, we're going to start working on this all electronics to make the car run, even with the old components, so we can make the Phoenix test, which is also a rookie orientation test. Very important for Kyle Kaiser.
Well, now if they had decided to do all this 2 weeks ago, I could understand being behind. But good grief, this has been going on for quite some time.
I know, yeah. I don't know exactly the reasons. I think the new prototype electronic has some issue when they test it, so they gotta redesign some stuff and restart the production again. So I think it's just,
It is what it is.
It is what it is. I mean, yeah.
You'll make it through, though, I'll guarantee you.
We will.
There's something about motorsports, and I don't know what it is. I mean, I went to a high school in Wisconsin, and a good number of the guys and gals I graduated with were lawyers, doctors, heads of legal organizations, and all kinds of stuff. When they say, "What did you do?" "Chase race cars." "What the hell is that?" "I bet I had more fun than you did." And there's just something about the sport to me that's different than any other sport. I mean, let's face it, there's a possibility that a life could be in danger, and everybody has to do exactly what they are trained to do in order so that you don't have that problem. And then they got to have the confidence that if they go through all that effort, and crews put a lot of time in going through these cars, that when they give it to the driver and he fires it up, that he's capable of winning. Otherwise, they said, "Geez, we stayed up all night for 3 days for this." So, to me, it's the ultimate sport, I think.
Yeah, I agree with you. And everything is complicated. It's expensive. It's risky. So everything as a business, it's so hard to make it work because it's so expensive. Like you said, a group of people, so every mechanic is under a lot of pressure all the time, so you need to control the emotions of them and performing and coaching the driver and do the race. Only one person's going to win. So it's sad because you start, 25, 30 cars, only one is going to ruin the race. So compared to other sports, on that side also is difficult. So I think all that is what makes something unique, and that's why the people, as soon as they test it, they love it,
Listen, if you have time, and I don't think you do, but I think you should go up to 56th Street and talk to the Colts. I think they need your philosophy.
We can try. Hey,
Yeah.
maybe it works.
Are you a huge soccer fan?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Do you go down and see the Indy 11?
Yes, I did a few
Yeah.
times.
I see. Are they
Yeah.
any good?
Actually, they are good. The players are good. I think what's happened is tactics. The coach and the system I think they're using are behind. But I think I can see a good future. My son plays soccer, and I love soccer, and I think United States is going to be... We still need to wait maybe another 5, 7, 10 years, but it's coming.
Well, I guess I'll have to take your word for it when you get up there, because in 5 to 7, 10 years, I ain't going to be here. But again, soccer is somewhat similar to motorsports, because everybody has to be where they're supposed to be, when they're supposed to be there. And it amazes me, you see some of these guys and what they can do with their... I mean, I can't do it with a ball in my hand, and what they can do with their feet is just unreal.
It is, and it's like anything else, right? I think anything in life requires a lot of sacrifice, a dedication, and everything. So I think it's a mental game as well. And today is millions of players trying to get it there, right? So it's very competitive. So it's difficult to get to the top level. So you gotta put everything you have, like anything else.
But the odd thing is, with so many kids going out and playing soccer in grade school, high school, colleges have some pretty good teams, there's not a whole lot of Americans in the professional leagues that are playing soccer.
No, but I think it's changing, and I think will be. I think will be good. Today you see more and more, and it used to be so many years with other sports in this country that are so big, but I think that's actually good, and the soccer is going to have the place, and it's been interesting.
Is your son going to follow you in the motorsports world? Is he going to kick a round ball around?
I don't know. He raced sometimes in go-karts. Year and a half ago, he did a championship. He always plays soccer since he's 4 years old, and he's 12 now. So I never pushed to anything, and now he decided to stop racing and play soccer. Good for him and better for my wallet. So.
Do you think you could find a place to fit him into your team somehow, to get a karting division started?
Maybe.
Maybe.
Probably,
My
yeah.
foot. If he was riding home tonight and said, "Dad, I want to start racing," you'd say, "Okay."
Yeah, no. For whatever he wants to do, I will support. of course, but
What
it's
is
not
this?
easy. I will never lose the attention on the business. Like
Oh,
I stopped racing myself because I lost all my money, and not because I wanted. And this is everything. I mean, like I said before, nothing is easy in life. Whatever you do, you gotta put everything. And
what does your wife say about him if he wanted to race? She say, sure, go ahead.
no, she say yes, no problem, but she doesn't like. Obviously, she will prefer to play soccer or play piano or something. Obviously, safer than racer, but at the same time, she understand if it's a passion and you love something. Obviously, in racing, you have to love it. Otherwise, it's kind of stupid to do it, right? So she will help.
Okay, that's good. Well, I know you have to go and pick him up now, but I certainly appreciate you taking the time to come here. To me, you are what motorsports is about. You and your team go about it. You go about it professionally. I mean, everybody seems to have a good time and they enjoy working together. But at the end of the race day, you're up where you should be. You're on the podium. Your guys are on the podium almost every race, whether on the top step or on the third step. You're there.
That's good to hear also. So thank you for the comments. And this year has been the best one so far. I mean, this is by far the best year. We were able to win both championship from Mazda Indy Lights. First time that a team does that. The same year that we started 500 with 2 cars, which was kind of crazy. And I didn't want to do it. I did it because actually I did not have a chance to say IndyCar, we're going to do 1 car when we had the opportunity to do 2. So I took the challenge, and was not easy. But today, obviously, we're very happy. And it's all, like I said, about the team that I have, the group of people that I have working for me. And we work together, and great families behind them. And we just became one. And yeah.
And I'm sure IndyCar was glad to have you join, and they're probably even more excited now that you're in for at least 4 races. And I know when I saw Kyle here a week or so ago, he said you're still working, trying to get a few more races for him. But I suspect if somebody else came along and said, I've got enough for 4 races, you'd say, okay.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, IndyCar has been great with us, to be honest, and I don't know, I can't ask for more. They've been helping us. It's been great working with them. And with Kaiser, obviously, we have a relationship for 4 years now, and I think the best can happen for us is to go together to IndyCar, because shows what we can do with a driver that came young with not much experience to Pro Mazda, and here we are. So we're going to try our best to continue, like I said, as many races as we can.
Well, you know, if you stumble on a sponsor to put up 200 or 300 million, you could go to Formula One.
Formula One, I don't know about that. 300-400 millions.
Yeah.
Right?
But
it's crazy. But that's how much Formula One needs, you know?
but I
To
think
be on the back, actually, by the way. So
Yeah.
you have, Haas, I think, is 250, 280 millions a year just to be on the back.
right.
No, thank you.
What's wrong with that?
Yeah, I mean, no.
Well, I'll tell you what, whatever you're doing, don't stop. It's been very successful. I enjoy watching and listening to your people, because that's all I can do anymore is watch and listen. And you've been hugely successful. You're a real credit to the series, and I'm glad to see you making a move. And I hope maybe by 2019 you'll have 2 cars running in the IndyCar. And in my opinion, it's only my opinion, Formula One runs on street and road circuits, and permanent road courses. So does IndyCar, but they also put in large and small ovals, which is now, if you can master that and win the championship, in my opinion, you're a better driver than what they call a world champion of Formula One.
Oh, no question. In my mind today, I mean, IndyCar, I think is better, honestly, is better than Formula One. No question.
And it's cheaper.
Yeah, and it's more friendly to the people. You don't have to be a millionaire and pay $40,000 pit lane pass to be next to the car, like Formula One. Like it's prohibited. Like we are not allowed to be there unless you're a millionaire. So I don't like that. IndyCar is more like Formula One 30 years ago, where the people can be next to the cars, touching the drivers, the cars, and it's so much better. And that's what we want. And the difference is huge. So I'm pushing for that, and we'll see. You know, I'm enjoying obviously every day here and
Good.
learning this IndyCar way.
Have you gotten to like hamburgers yet?
No,
No?
no.
You don't like hamburgers?
I like it, but I gotta watch my. Hey, I gained 30 pounds in 15 years, so I gotta be careful, okay, going forward here.
I gained 30 pounds in a week. Thank you for your time. Congratulations on a great season, and I look forward to seeing, and I'm sure you'll do it again this year, because the people and the drivers you bring in know what they're doing, and obviously you're training them to be able to move up to the next ladder. And I think obviously the Mazda Road to Indy program presented by Cooper Tires gives them the opportunity to learn and move up, and you're doing a great job. Keep it up.
Thank you very much. Thank you guys for tonight to be here, and it's been a year, I think, so I'm gonna promise to be here maybe sooner. So
right.
For everybody, happy holidays, Merry Christmas and New Year, for the best for everybody in 18.
And the best for you. Thank you. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Ricardo Juncos, owner of Juncos Racing. Thanks for coming. Now I have a young lady coming to join us next, and I know she's getting younger. She had a birthday and she turned 22 today. Today is her birthday, incidentally. I've known this young lady for a number of years. She's a 1993 graduate of Butler University.
Oh, I'm sold.
Her first job was for Just Marketing International when she was, I think you were the only other worker besides Zach.
I was. There was just two of us, me and Zach. Scary thought.
Yeah. He got out of it in a hurry. He said, whoa, we got to move on. When I first met you, you were the PR and client representative for Fred Treadway and
Twedway Racing.
Twedway Racing.
Let's all say it together, Twedway Racing.
And Fred's still limping around from time to time. We see him.
Yes,
he was
indeed.
here in May, actually. She went from there to the IndyCar Series. It was Indy Racing League at the time, an IndyCar Series, and she was the event coordinator. Did a phenomenal job. When she left there, it only took 3 people to replace her, which I thought was brilliant on somebody's part. She and her friend, Mr. Cottingham, sitting here, started Grand Solutions, doing event management and many other things, representing teams and drivers and so forth, and some outfit out in the weeds by the name of LST Marketing thought they were doing well, and they partnered with them, and now she is gone probably 35 weekends a year.
Yes, actually nailed it.
And she's here with us. It's been chasing her for some time, but she finally made it on her birthday of all times. Please welcome Ruthie Forbes.
First and foremost, I just want to say there's a lot of really, really awesome familiar faces in the crowd tonight. And I know there are many, many, many more following online and listening in. So as a motorsports marketer,
Oh boy.
here's to all of you for following and making my job much easier and much more challenging all at the same time. So cheers to all of you. Thank you very much.
Now, what is it that occupies you that many weekends? What is it that LST does primarily, and what part do you play in it besides most all?
That is a loaded question.
I thought so.
So since I was here last, I think I have been around the world a couple times. So we do a number of things. Most of us are what I would call self-proclaimed event junkies. So the majority of our troops, and I'm fortunate to have some amazing people that work for us at LST Marketing. So large shout out to all of them for making all of this possible. But we have a lot of people on our staff that do a little bit of everything from event production. We work with a lot of different racing series. We actually have a relationship with almost every single racing sanctioned body in North America currently. I've done everything from Lamborghini Super Trofeo to Formula E to Porsche Motorsport to IndyCar, kind of you name it, we do it. It's everything from PR and marketing and communication solutions to event production to, on the case of IndyCar, a lot of what we do for IndyCar right now is assisting promoters and racetracks with how to market and how to sell tickets for the events. So we do, you name it, we do it. Better question would be, what don't we do?
All right. What don't you do?
Okay, everybody, cheers.
What degree did you get from Butler?
Okay, don't laugh. It was in broadcasting. Yeah.
Really?
I was on air at a radio station for a very long time here beforehand, yes.
You were? How long is a long time?
Oh, it felt like a small eternity. It was about 3 years.
Oh, that's a long time. I've been doing this since 1974.
Do you feel old?
I am old. What do you mean, do I feel? Hell, I am. You know, I have had the privilege of knowing you for a long time and watching how you operate. You love everybody. People,
I
when they
do.
meet you, they never walk away saying, "What the hell was that about?" you talk to them. You talk to them on their level. You understand what they need, what they should do. And instead of pushing them into something that you know will work, you kind of guide them in, and they don't realize what you're doing. And I thought, wish I could do that. So far in 50
Honestly,
years, I
that
haven't.
was kind of one of the reasons why I stopped doing broadcasting. I was in radio, and as you all well know, if you're on the air, you're stuck in a room by yourself.
Oh,
You're
no.
talking to yourself. At least you're in front of people. See, yay! You have an audience. It's a beautiful thing. If you're stuck in a DJ booth, you are totally alone. And that really kind of wasn't my thing. That was one of the reasons why I decided I wanted to change my major. And then I got a job interview for a radio network, and I wanted to do the interview, and it happened to be the Kmart IndyCar radio network. And
really?
I knew absolutely nothing about motorsports. So my first race was this little event here in Indianapolis. And they, believe it or not, I'm from here. I had never been to the 500. Okay, I know, weirdo, I get it. And I showed up at the racetrack, and Sally Larvick, who was Paul Page's wife, was ill for the day. And she said, okay, you need to take over and do some interviews for me. So I'm going to send you out, and here's your roster of driver interviews. So I went out. Perky person that I am, I love everybody, so I'll march up to anyone and do an interview, and I hit the first driver, and I said, okay, hey, live IndyCar Radio Network, why do the cars have wingy things? So that got an interesting answer, and then my second interview, I was like, hey, why do you wear the little sooty outfit things, And then my last interview was, what does it feel like to go fast? So my first interview was Mario Andretti. My second interview was Emerson Fittipaldi, and my last interview was Ari Leindeck. So, not exactly a very auspicious start, just saying. I'm still recovering from that.
Most all of your career stops have had to do with client relations. What does that entail? What does a client relation person do?
Oh, that can be a little bit of everything. It depends on what you do. In the case of IndyCar, there's a lot of different people that can be considered clients. When I worked for IndyCar, my drivers were my clients, the teams were my clients, the promoters were my clients, the sponsors were my clients. So it was a little bit of everybody. And those are all the people that kind of make the wheels turn and things happen on the IndyCar level. And the same kind of applies to all the series that we work for. In the case of Lamborghini, it's all kind of client, customer focused and customer team driven. So, that's very much of a, your teams, your customers, your drivers, your customers. And so you make sure that they have a good experience with what they're doing, and make sure that, you're ensuring that everything, their entire experience they have with you is a positive one.
How did you get in a Lamborghini? Are you driving one, by the way?
I am not driving one, but I will clarify for everybody in the room. It is pronounced Huracan. The car is an Huracan. Everybody say it with me. Huracan. See, you're all Italian now. Yeah, I know it's got an H in front of it, but no. And that's actually an amazing client. They've only been, the funny part is they started out as a lifestyle brand. As you all know, Lamborghinis are a street car first and foremost. So they did reverse opposite of everybody else. Porsche and most of the manufacturers have started out as a race car and then turned into a street car. Lamborghini has kind of flipped the switch a little bit. And they started out as a lifestyle brand and then gone into racing. And so it's been fascinating. We've been with them for 6 years now, I think. And it's a great relationship, and it's been fun to watch and see how the car has evolved. The Lamborghini Super Trofeo series has evolved into GT3 racing, and now they're in the WeatherTech Sports Car Championship series. That was the one you missed earlier, WeatherTech Sports Car Championship.
Yes.
And so it's been fun to watch the evolution of that particular brand, and we've really enjoyed it. It's fun. The teams are great, and let's face it, who doesn't want to hang out with a Lamborghini all day long?
Well, I didn't hear anybody say I don't want to be there, so I guess everybody.
I don't have one if it's any consolation. I got nothing. I don't drive one.
You don't drive? Oh boy. You said that you're involved with promoters and ticket sales. Do you seeing as we're primarily into the IndyCar, do you see an increase that the promoters are starting to figure out that starting a race at 8 o'clock on a Sunday night ain't a bright idea? that they're, help them getting ticket sales?
Well, it's ticket sales is an interesting evolution. So the bottom line is you're competing for the discretionary dollar. So you're competing against going to the movies or going to a baseball game or going to a football game. So it's all about the entertainment industry. And a lot of these racetracks and all these promoters have a number of events they're trying to work with. So in some cases, the IndyCar event may be, 2 to 3 weeks immediately after their cup race. So trying to have the resources and the staff and the bodies and frankly, the time to dedicate to the creativity to sell tickets, it's not that the races aren't in demand, it's how do you get more? Where are the people that you're not finding? So we are fortunate in that we also do a lot of things in the stick and ball business as well. So we have expanded into other sports and we do other things besides racing. And so it's been a good study to see what the NBA is doing, what the NFL is doing, right to our hometown team here, the Indianapolis Indians. A lot of what they do from a promotional standpoint is absolutely incredible. So we do a lot of focus on, okay, what other areas can racetracks tap into? What databases can they tap into? In the case of Gateway International, how many people went to Gateway last year? Thank you very much. You guys are awesome. Our focus was on the Indianapolis and the Indiana regional market. And so we helped them develop ticket promotions and bus trips and things like that to kind of attract this particular region to go to the racetrack and see, fantastic IndyCar racing that you can see elsewhere in addition to the Indianapolis 500. So, we spend a lot of time and a lot of margaritas brainstorming ideas on where else we can reach out, what else we can do, how else we can help. So, and creativity is a key. Trying to come up with interesting ideas and ways to attract a new audience is always crucial.
I find interesting, I've known John Lope since Indy Racing League started when he was a team manager for Team Extreme out of Texas. Mm-hmm. And they had a lawyer.
That's when I met him too.
And they had a lawyer was their driver, and I can't think of his name, but his father and I hooked up. We'd go to every race. I was going in, and we'd always hang out. I can't think of the driver's name, but he was an attorney. And to see what he's done and how he moved up and what he's put together as he, like yourself, learning as you go, and now you've got a really strong organization. How many people work there?
Oh, well, we recently just acquired an agency in Dallas. Some of you may be familiar with the previous owner, a little guy named Roger Staubach. So we acquired that last summer, and what the Dallas office mostly does is what I would call talent integration. So typically by nature of who the previous owner was, and Roger's still a partner of ours, we do a lot of NFL integration. So how many people have seen the Nissan Heisman House commercials?
Oh, yeah.
So we sourced all the talent for those commercials. So a lot of it is, if you have somebody that you want to do an autograph signing or, a media appearance or autograph session, things like that. So that's kind of the focus of the Dallas office. So between the Indianapolis and the Dallas office, I would say we have, and Gene, you're going to correct me if I'm wrong here, 15, 20, somewhere in that vicinity? 23. See, he knows. I'm just here to drink.
He's a number guy. You're here drinking and he's a number guy.
He's the numbers guy.
I see.
I can't add to save my life. You don't want me to add anything. I could write you an article or a news, anything on bubble gum, but I cannot add.
Oh, well, good. I'm not alone then. I'm not the only one. Is there one series that you think is more, for you personally, is more exciting than another, or is racing?
I think racing is racing. It all depends on what, it's kind of the same thing with wine. You like what you like, you drink what you drink. You may be an NHRA fan, you may be, a NASCAR fan, you may be a drifting fan. The one racing series that I actually find fascinating, who has been to a Formula E event? Anyone?
That many people. Huh?
That is actually much cooler than I had anticipated. And we've done a lot with them. We produced a race. We produced the race that was in Miami, and then I did some work for a client for a while. And that's a fascinating event study as well as an audience study. It's kind of a social experience. It's a one-day event in a downtown market, and the race cars are in fact silent. Like when you come and go from the pits, you got to have whistles so that people don't get run over in the pits when the car comes in. But what's interesting is everybody focuses and harps on the fact that it's just too quiet, but there's a lot of things that you miss. If you go park yourself in the grandstands in a corner, you can hear a lot of things that you don't hear at an IndyCar race because over the engine noise. You can hear the sound of braking. You can hear the sound of shifting. You can hear the sound of tires. So for those of you who have not been, I would really recommend it. It's fascinating. It's a really cool experience. It's very, very different. And I think it has a lot of legs and a lot of merit, and I think you're going to see it take off. Obviously, there's a lot of money behind it. It's FIA sanctioned and backed by Formula One. But if you haven't done it, don't discount it, because it's a pretty unique product, and I have found my experience with it fascinating.
I told somebody one day if they were to run those cars at the Speedway, people in the stands would say, "Turn the PA down. It's too loud."
Poor Dave Calabro. He's cringing somewhere.
How's Jay Penske doing? Isn't he's
Actually, quite well. All the teams are doing quite well. And if you haven't seen the cars are seriously cool. The design and the engineering work that has gone into it, they're pretty fascinating. So yeah, it's it's nice to see the IndyCar team owners surviving. Jay and Michael Andretti and those of that like. It's nice to see them survive, and the crowds are very much Formula One crowds. They're very dedicated, right down to the face paint and running around naked and at the racetracks and screaming and yelling. And you can hear them scream and yell because there's no sound of engine noise. So it's not dull, that's for sure.
I was surprised when Jay got out of IndyCar and went away, and all of a sudden he resurfaced in Formula E. I thought, well,
yeah, it's a unique product. There's a reason why a lot of team owners are attracted to it.
And I know Mr. Andretti is attracted to it. It's what is he running in about 8 series now? He's in the
a ton,
cross.
yeah, because he's got
six
rallycross,
cars in
Formula
the
E. Yeah, I
500.
think he's expanding into sports car racing as well. So
Yeah.
they have a lot going on.
And somebody was feeling sorry for him at one time that he might be going broke. I don't think so. What prepared you for what you're doing? You went for
Absolutely nothing.
Oh, not even Fred? Fred didn't prepare?
Oh no, Freddie's wonderful. Still love some Fred. No, I think the biggest thing that prepares you for a life in this type of a business is just your ability to be open-minded, and your ability to interact and work with people. If you're a people person, you can get along in any sport, I think. I had no background in motorsports, which was interesting. So consequently, I found everything fascinating. I went to the racetrack and I thought everything was unique and everything was different. And so I had a huge learning curve, but I also absorbed it really quickly because I was very interested in it. And I also tend to look at it from more of a business perspective and more of a marketer's perspective, more than necessarily a sport. And oddly enough, I tend to hire people that don't have no motorsports background as well. Because sometimes, you're not only in the forest, you are a tree. So sometimes you need a fresh perspective on what you're doing. So I tend to actually gravitate towards and hire people again, and people like myself that had no background in it, because you can learn a great deal and you can get a unique perspective on it. But by the same token, as I said earlier, you are all of the fans, and so you challenge us just as much as those that we're trying to recruit people to come in and join the sport, because you're all connoisseurs. So as a marketer, it's very, very hard, because I have to try to gravitate towards how do you attract new people that know nothing about what a rear wing is and why the drivers wear sooty outfits, but also cater to those of you who are educated and in the know and follow it regularly, and how do we keep it interesting for all of you as well. So it's my daily life is not dull.
I suspect not. And I'm interested that you brought that up when you asked Mario Andretti, what's that thingy out there? What was his answer?
Never let me live that down.
What was his answer?
It was like a blank deer in headlights stare for about a good solid 30 seconds, which on air, 30 seconds is a small eternity. So I was literally doing that whole, oh crap, what did I ask? Yeah, that was unique. He still laughs at me to this day over that one.
Gee, I can't imagine why.
Yeah.
And Sally didn't give you any hints as to what you might
I will
have?
say one thing. So one of my last years at IndyCar, we did a really unique promotion in Boston. We flew, as many are familiar, after they do the 500, after you do pole day, we flew the entire starting field to New York. We did an ESPN Bristol tour. Then we did a party and a promotion in Boston with Mark Wahlberg. And Mario was on the drive with us. And we went to a nightclub one night, and I was laughing because we had all the race car drivers all bellied up to the bar, and we're doing a nightclub promotion, and I look over, and here is Mario kind of off in a corner, and there's 1,000 22-year-old girls just like Velcroed to him. And then you have all the IndyCar drivers at the bar by themselves. So I'm sitting there laughing the whole time like, oh, okay, who has game and who does not? And what we do is we had limos rotating throughout the course of the night, taking all the drivers back to the hotel. And finally, Mario decided to call it quits. And as I'm walking him back out to his limousine, I said, okay, I just got to ask, how many phone numbers have you gotten tonight? And he's like, hey, I got a question. So I might need a ride in the morning. So what's your number so I can take your information? I'm like, okay, here you go. He turns around at me and goes, that's 23. I'm like, you suck. You just suck. Yeah, it was pretty awesome.
Do you find drivers, personally, I have found the easiest drivers, the friendliest drivers to talk to are in IndyCar. NASCAR, when they used to come and test, a little bit. I used to get them in here because they'd come for a couple of days and test when they first came, first couple of years. Now they don't need to. They come in for a day and then leave. But of all of the events and series that I've covered over the years, I found that the most interesting and most outgoing are the IndyCar drivers. Formula One, as Ricardo said, if you don't have $1 million, you don't get anywhere near the pit area. But do you find one series more friendly, more outgoing than another?
No, I think it's, it all depends on who your personalities are. We do a lot with sports car racing and with IMSA, and so it's just a different set of personalities. There are as many entertaining IMSA drivers as there are the Hinchcliffes of the world and the Joseph Newgardens of the world. They're just different. So I think you see a lot of different personalities in every series, and I think there's a lot of drivers that stand out particularly. But I do appreciate the fact that as the series has evolved, I've been involved in IndyCar since 1993. Really old. Okay, everybody drink with me on that one. So I have found that it's nice that IndyCar has always remained, aware of itself and fairly humble, and all the drivers have all kind of, kept that attitude of, we are here, this is a business, we're here for our fans, we're here to support, and we're here to give back. So I do think you see, when you get to the upper echelons of, the Formula Ones of the world, and a little bit to some respect, NASCAR, there's a lot of drivers in NASCAR that are great, that are really friendly and really fun. It's just hard to be as accessible, when there's that many events to contest. So, they're out there. It's just hard, it's hard to, unless you're following every single racing series and going to every single race, it's hard for all of you to witness, who those drivers are, unless you're diehard fans.
The thing I find interesting about IndyCar drivers, and I've mentioned this before, and I've not seen it else, maybe USAC a little bit, but they have an autograph session at every event. Mm-hmm. And I go and watch just to see what the fans say, and the number of drivers that will recognize a fan from another place, and they just go nuts.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you were here, and they just love it. And, of course, click, they got a fan. And that's where I think...
And IndyCar has a lot of regulars. I will confess, having, my 10 years at IndyCar, autograph sessions were one of my responsibilities, and I saw a lot of regular faces, which always mystified me. What do you do for a living that you can go to every single IndyCar race? But it was amazing to see, and it also makes you appreciate the value of the sport when you have those fans that are not only able to come to every single race, but willing to come to every single race and stand in the autograph session line and bring, items for signature, and it's nice to know that the IndyCar drivers recognize that and supported them and welcomed them at every single session. So always nice when a professional racing series has that many competitors that recognize the fans and honor the fans that way.
You said you do stick and ball. Do you guys deal with Major League Baseball or minor league like down here? I think the Indians still have the biggest attendance.
Yes, they do. They are still number one in terms of promotions and attendance of all the minor league. So hands down, kudos to their staff. They do an amazing job. And actually, I spend a lot of time studying what they do because they consistently attract a regular crowd. We do a lot of minor league stuff. We do a lot of, frankly, high school and college age stuff too. There's a small sports facility up north in Westfield called Grand Park. So we operate the entire indoor soccer facility. do all the event production up there, and help the city of Westfield and assist them with all the production and all the events up there. So we just did Big Ten soccer recently. So kind of you name it, we've done it. And then we did a lot of baseball out there. We've got a lot of soccer fields out there. So it's a little bit of everything.
Boy, LST.
Yeah, we also produce, I don't know if anybody lives in Texas, but we produce a kind of a small high school invitational football game called the Tom Landry Classic. If anybody's familiar with that, attendance is somewhere between 25 and 35,000. We produce that event too.
Gee, and what's the name of your partner down there?
Yeah, Roger.
Oh, my goodness.
Yes,
People
indeed.
still remember him?
Oh, slightly. Yes, slightly.
Well, I'll tell you what, I have been wanting to speak with you on Thursday night for the IKDD event, which I understand was extremely successful.
It was. Some of our staff helped produce that event. So for those of you that went, thank you very much for going. That was an amazing cause, and they raised a chunk of change. That was a pretty good event.
Yeah, and Dave Dusick,
Good for Dave.
I was supposed to call him, and I forgot.
Shame
He
on
would've
you.
been- he would've been here
He will
tonight.
hold you to that. I'm
I know
sorry.
that,
There's
but
going to be
he-
a whole lot of guilt in your future.
I'm surprised he didn't call me and say, hey, Pudge, what happened?
He's probably hiding in the parking lot right now. Knowing Dave, he really could be. I'm not kidding.
But he had some great people there, and I ran into
Yeah.
you, and I said, I'd like to get you. Yeah, I'm available until January. So
Yeah,
it's not
once January starts, you weren't kidding about the 35 weekends thing. It starts because we do a little bit of everything. So it's so many racing series that I'm usually starting January. I go from January until about end of November. So I have sort of half of November and a little bit of December for that thing we call the off season. That really, there's no such thing as off season anymore.
Do you have to wear a name tag when you go in the house? Does Kevin recognize you as you come in?
Oh, so yeah, he does so much construction that I figure if I was actually home more often, what would happen is there'd be like a new set of concrete stairs developed, and I'd be missing. Like a Jimmy Hoffa situation, probably. Yeah, where'd Ruthie go? We haven't seen her in a while. Hey, look, there's all kinds of new construction at the Forbes residence. No, he's
Well.
exceptionally busy with what he has going on
I'm
too.
sure
So
he's some outfit that's fairly well known, Harding.
Harding Racing, yes,
Well,
indeed.
but he's not a part of Harding Racing. is
No, he's actually part of the construction group.
he? The Harding Group is an amazing company, and they nailed and grabbed Al Jr. on their race
Yes, they
team as
did.
an executive consultant, and some kid by the name of Barnhart.
Yes, and that reunion has been very entertaining. Kevin and Brian together in the same room, duck. That's all I have to say, duck.
Well, I've been trying to get Brian. He said once he gets into his new gig, which should have
Yes.
started today,
Yes, indeed. Yeah.
I'll get him in here. And
He
we'll
did
talk
show
about
up for the Christmas party, though, early. So, yeah.
Oh, that
When in
was
doubt,
nice.
do the Christmas party first and then start work after.
Good thinking, if you
Yeah.
can find the door.
That too.
Well, I appreciate you coming. It's exciting to see and hear what you're doing because I've been a fan of yours since I met you 25 years ago or whatever it was.
Oh, there's the old comment again.
I'm sorry.
Drinking.
10 years ago, I lied. But it's been fun. I congratulate you and what you and Gene put together and became part of LST. I think it's great. And they've got a couple of good people to join the group. And John isn't dumb. He knows how to get what you
That
need
is
to get the
true.
job done. And give my regards to John.
I most certainly will.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you all. It's great to see so many familiar faces again.
Ruthie Forbes,
Glad to be here.
are you going to be in town for Christmas or are you traveling?
I am actually going to be in town for Christmas.
My
It might be a
goodness.
small miracle, but it is true. But then the IMSA, the Roar before the 24 actually starts immediately after. So that would be the January the 4th. That is a good look for you. You legit make that look good.
Can't find the button.
There's a button. Oh, I have no words. I got nothing for this. This is so appropriate on so many levels. Am I wrong here?
Well, look at Howdy Bell's got a necklace on that's flashing.
That is also appropriate because Howdy also can make that look good.
That's actually, it's flashing to his heartbeat.
Probably, and I heard nothing. I am not owning up to I'm nothing. I got nothing. True.
Well, we wish you nothing but the best. I appreciate your time. As you know, If I can catch you next November, December, we'll try it again.
You're on. It's a date.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ruthie Forbes.
Thanks, everybody.
And everybody, have a great Christmas. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. We'll be here on the 9th, and I'm going to find out how many people have already bailed out on their New Year's resolutions. Don't forget the 13th is on a Saturday night. It's the night of the Chili Bowl. It will be shown here. There'll be 4 or 5 different kinds of chilies, and if you've been here, it's phenomenal. Come on in, race fans, all get together, watch. You can see Dave Argerbright in it. Dave Argerbright in action. And we'll be back the 9th. Have a great holiday time. Thanks for everybody for being here. Thanks to all the sponsors I mentioned. And welcome to a young lady who speaks Spanish, and I'm having trouble with English, and I've been doing it for a lot of years. And, of course, Marty, if you want to get a tour of the museum, go see her. She'll point you in the wrong direction, and you find your way from there. Thanks, everybody, for being here. See you next year. Good night. Happy holidays. See ya. And happy birthday to Ruthie again. Have a margarita for your birthday. Aha.